Welcome to Nostalgy. We are your hosts. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Jessica.
Today we are talking about a super fun topic.
They're always so fun.
Surveys. Yeah.
Real estate's so interesting.
Well, yes, and it can be. It really can be. And this is supposed to be, a learning informational podcast. So we're going to learn about surveys today. What is a survey?
A survey. So a survey, whenever I have people who ask about this, they're like, I have all this paperwork. What does it look like? It's a map of your property. That's what it's going to. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's going to have the outline. And it's going to show all of the things on the property, your boundary lines, the structures on the property, any easements and encroachments you have. So it will line all of that out. You'll be able to see where the driveway is, the pool, the fence, all of it.
Okay, but wait, let's back up a minute. So what is an easement and what is an encroachment? These are not normal words that people know.
They're not. And nobody, well, it's funny because people won't even ask that question and they have these on their survey and they just don't pay attention. So they are kind of, opposites of the same thing. So an easement is where you have some access on your property to legally allow someone else to use it, which sounds kind of scary, but everyone has it. Utility easements is the most common. So that will be often underground. You don't even know it's there, but there's plumbing or power lines or telephone and internet cables. So there will be a place where someone can come in and access. So say the electric company has to come in and dig for something. Mm-hmm. They can do that in that area. So everyone has easements.
We all have easements. We just need to know, don't put the shed over an easement.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Because what would happen? They could dig it up.
Yes. It would be a problem. And we'll get to that. The opposite side is encroachment, which is where you're sometimes unknowingly, but illegally using someone else's property. And often it's people don't realize, they put up a new fence and don't realize that they actually went 1 foot into the neighbor's yard. So they are encroaching on the neighbor's property or they pour their driveway. Oh, it's funny. Actually, my in-laws, they own about 3 acres of land and someone just bought the house next to them. Well, their property is heavily wooded, but then there is a strip between the 2 houses that my in-laws own, but it's mowed and there's no trees. Well, these people bought it, didn't pay attention to the survey, and they came home the other day and someone had mowed that land for them. They're like, I guess neighbor was trying to be nice and mowing it. Well, then they started parking their cars on it. And there's plants that they have planted and stuff. And so they had to go down and talk to them we thought we owned that. It's no, the property line is on the side of your driveway. You don't own anything past your driveway. So they did not pay attention to their survey. And they're all on the same page. There was no fighting over that. But he was just stop parking on my grass. You're going to kill my grass. Oh, so,
okay.
But yeah, so it's if you're illegally trespassing or if they had gone and poured concrete onto their property to expand the driveway or something, that would have been an encroachment.
Well, at least they're nice and friendly with the neighbors, because I imagine there are some cases it's not.
No. Oh my gosh. I've seen videos of the crazy neighbors who were fighting. And and there was actually one in Flower Mound that they're in a huge battle with each other, calling the cops all the time. And they're posting videos of it. I'll have to find it and show you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Maybe it's in my neighborhood.
I don't think it is, but we'll have to see.
You never know.
It doesn't look like you have. You've had some crazies. We all have them.
Yes, that's true. Okay, back to surveys.
So this comes up a lot. Most people will have a survey on their house, and everyone should have a survey, but we deal with this a lot in real estate transactions. So they're necessary for financing. If you're getting a loan for the house you're purchasing, you will have to have a survey.
Yes.
If you're
to refinance.
And a refinance. If you're a cash buyer, you don't have to have one, but I don't know why you wouldn't want one to know all these important things about your property. So it's going to come up for any transaction, and buyers and sellers both need to be aware of this piece. It's often very ignored. They get the email that says, here's your survey, and they don't even look at it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it is a very important piece of paper in that closing document, right?
Yes.
Because in the closing package, I should say, because that's something you could use again, of course, when you resell the house, but then also in a refinance. And there are times I've seen one survey, it was 25 years old, and the title company allowed us to use it for a refinance. So assuming they hadn't built like a deck or something on the exterior footprint of the house, you can
Exactly.
use that survey over and over again.
Right.
Unless something changes on the exterior, a
Yep.
deck, a pool,
Yep.
pergolas, I don't know.
Anything, yeah.
Anything on the exterior that's changed from when you purchased the property, a new survey could be required.
Yep. But I've had old ones too that have been reused. So it's great.
Yeah. So hold on to it.
Yes.
It doesn't look like it's very important.
And this goes for all the documents you get. Pay attention to all of them because they're all there for a purpose. I know it's overwhelming, but look at the title work, look at the survey, look at all the documents, review them. Too many people are just signing their life away with these things and they have no idea and haven't paid attention.
Absolutely. So then what about the responsibilities buyers and sellers each have?
So the seller, if you are selling a home, first, it does start with you. So you want to find your existing survey, like you said, because then we can reuse it. A new survey can cost $600 or more.
Absolutely.
Especially if you have acreage or a lot of extra buildings, if you've got a barn, workshop. So it's an expensive piece, but you need to find it in advance. And you will also be filling out a form called a T47, which is basically, it's an affidavit. You're promising that as far as you are aware, the survey's correct. Now, there is a place there where you can specify if there's changes. So say, as far as you know, it's correct, except you've added a pool. So you can put that exception in there to say, we did install a pool. So that is the seller's portion of what they need to do.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because I had a funny thing that happened with regards to a pool one time.
Yeah.
And the title company, it was crazy. So they allowed them to draw in the pool.
Yep.
Like instead of getting a new one, they literally drew it in.
Yes.
I had never seen that before.
I've had that before too. As a buyer, I don't know that I would want that because I would want to make sure you have all the lines correct, because what if it is they put it on one place, but really it is encroached on one of the easements. And so
mine was a refinance.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit different because
it's their own property.
Their own property. So they're like, oh yeah, the pool's here. And the title company accepted it.
I had one that was a sale and buyer and lender and title company all agreed to let them draw it in. So
okay.
Yeah. As far as the buyer's responsibility, like we talked about, reviewing it, make sure you understand what's on there. Because, for example, if I have a property right now that there is a utility easement that takes up about half of the backyard. And so it's fine for normal use. But if you wanted to install a pool, you would be limited. It would be a small, what do they call them? Like the cocktail pools, the soaking pool. You're not going to have a large pool because there won't be enough space for that. So if you're buying this house with the thought of, I'm going to install a pool, you could buy this house and find out that you can't do that. So you have to look at it and make sure you understand everything. You also want to, if you are agreeing as the buyer, say you are telling the seller, I'll pay for a new survey. You want to make sure that this survey is accurate. It is going to go through the lender and the title company for approval. But if there's something glaringly wrong, like they installed a pool and it's missing the pool, you have to be prepared that a new one could be required.
Right.
Because it's going to go through all those channels to see. So there's certain things that have to be on there. And I've seen surveys that an existing survey that is not accepted for something. It's usually for adding something. A barn, a pool, expanding the driveway. Sometimes if it's minor like that, like it's a small shed or just a widened driveway, they let you draw it in. But then there's other things like the seal from the survey company. There has to be a seal on it. It has to be dated. It has to have the north arrow, the compass on there. If any of these things are missing, they'll deny it and you'll have to purchase a new one. So.
Wow. Okay. So so when the title company is like, no, we can't use it. That's what you're calling denial.
Yep.
Basically, they know a new one's needed.
Yep. Because up front, we may, when you're writing the offer, you have to determine that if a new one is needed, who's going to pay for it.
Okay. So
up front, you have to say this before you know if it's accepted or not. And you as the buyer may say, I'll pay for a new one. But sometimes we're looking at this, we're like, this is a great survey. No one's probably going to need to pay for a new one. But if we see those things, then we know there's no seal on this. There's no date on this. It's missing one of the critical items. It's not going to ever pass. So someone does have to pay for it. So then it becomes a bigger negotiating point.
Right. So you guys are negotiating, but by the time I get the contract,
yeah,
it's already like, I'm always going over that with the buyer, as far as okay, the contract states that you're responsible for paying for a new survey if a new one is needed, but we don't know that yet because it's going to be provided to the title company and they will let us know.
Yes. So we're looking for those things early on. And I mean, that's more, not as much on the buyer, more your agent, because they should know. So I'm always looking at those to see. And then I'll tell them, listen, this is missing a lot. It's a 30-year-old survey. It's missing the pool. It has, another one that's interesting. I've only seen this twice. They've replatted a neighborhood. So the legal description is wrong because there's, like I said, it's only happened twice. So it's not common, but they've changed the lot numbers. So when they replatted, maybe they were like block C, lot 6. Well, now they're, lot 10 or 101 or something. Like they've changed the numbering so that the survey then is invalid because it's not the correct legal description. So there can be things that do make it more difficult for one of us, not one of the attorneys to know, but it's things that we can look out for.
Have you ever had that, I don't know, I guess a survey delay a closing because they had to order a new one and they maybe didn't order it early enough?
Yes. And I mean, we've had some of them coming in like the day of closing. So it's been rough.
A little bit of time.
They can take a while. So if you have to get it ordered quickly. And some people will drag their feet. They don't want to order it till they know everything else is solid. So it can delay closing.
Cost. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And if it gets ordered and then the deal falls through.
Who pays for it?
It's whoever agreed to pay for it in the contract. So as a buyer, if you've agreed to pay for it and then it's ordered, you've paid for it, and then you have to back out for some reason, you still owe that money because you agreed to pay.
But sometimes the title company's ordering it. Does that mean they could be out the money?
If they don't get the buyer, because technically they're the ones paying for it up front. It gets charged at closing.
Or it's kind of like me in an appraisal.
You in an appraisal.
That I get stuck with paying for occasionally, yes, because somebody,
it backs out and then
fails, and then they decide to ghost me and not pay for their appraisal.
Yeah. So they can get stuck with that, just like HOA fees. Title companies, some of them will prepay the HOA because they have to, right after we go under contract, they pay for the HOA docs.
Oh, okay.
And that could be $600, $700. And then if that deal falls through and they end up at another title company for the next house they purchase, that's never coming back to them. So they could be out survey and HOA docs.
Wow.
So
yeah, I didn't realize that. I thought I was the only one that could lose.
No. Well, and then for real estate agents, I mean, because we all have businesses, so we have expenses. I've paid thousands of dollars to stage and photograph and video a house, and then they're like, "Oh, we changed our minds. We're just going to stay here after all." And then I'm like,
"My goodness,
I'm eating that." So,
yeah,
we all, as business owners, we all take some of those risks, and
we do. It's the cost of doing business.
It is. But then people have to be respectful too. So
that's true. That's a whole nother podcast, I think. But so okay, so the contract then determines who's going to be paying for a new one if a new one is required.
Yeah. In the contract, there's technically 3 options. We have one that says we're going to reuse an existing survey, but we do have a little clause in there that says if it's denied by title or the lender, who's going to pay? And you have to decide then buyer or seller. Then if there's not a survey, then there's 2 other options. One to say buyer's purchasing a new one or seller's purchasing a new one. So then you know that that's an automatic, you are purchasing. So if the seller has lost it or there isn't one. So we've had some people who bought like with cash and never had a survey. Now, if you bought a house within the last 10, 15 years, most of that's digital now and pretty easy for the title company or your real estate agent to find that. So if you purchased your house 10 years ago, you could just call the title company where you closed and asked for that. Older ones, really it was prior to like 2010. A lot of it's like paper files in a storage unit somewhere.
Yes.
And they're not going to go look for that for you. So at least not without charging you a fee to go look. But I've done that plenty of times where people can't find it. They've already boxed up things and put it in storage, whatever it is. And we've been able to get it from the title company.
Now, hold on a minute. You said something about if it's cash. Are they not required to have a survey on cash?
Nope.
Okay. They don't deal in cash.
And like I said, I still recommend
cash.
You give the cash. Yeah, cash. With that, they don't have to. It's not required. But like I said, I don't see why people don't. It often happens with new construction because then they're buying from the builder and the builder doesn't provide it. And yeah, so then they end up, they don't even realize that they never had a survey. It never came up. So you have to make sure.
Past deals.
Yep. You have to make sure you ask.
One.
Yes. Because we've talked about this, all the things that you need to know.
You want to know your property line.
Yeah.
So what happens if there's something wrong on the survey, but like the seller is not aware?
So like we talked about before, with like an encroachment or something, there is, well, if it's wrong, technically, I mean, it would fall on whoever the homeowner is. So if you bought the home and it wasn't discovered, it could just fall on the buyer. So say there was an argument between a neighbor and they said, hey, your driveway or your pool is encroaching on my property. You're 4 feet into my land. More often that might happen with larger lots because on these smaller homes, I mean, you're right next door, you're on top of each other. So it's pretty easy to see some of those boundary lines. But on larger lots or irregular shaped lots, you might end up with something like that. Now, there is an option, and I recommend this to all my buyers, like I said, unless it's really, really clear boundary lines and there's no extra stuff on the property. But there's a premium title policy you can get with the title company. So there's the basic one that everyone gets, but there is an option, at least in Texas, where you select this premium policy, and it will cover encroachments on boundary lines.
Okay.
So now what happens with it is the survey will go to the attorneys of the title company. They're approving it. They're saying, yes, we accept this. And if you have that premium policy, they're accepting some of that responsibility. So then say next year you find out your pool was 4 feet into the neighbor's yard and they want that dug up and they want their yard back, or you have to purchase some of the land from them, you have the title policy to fall back on to help.
I've never actually seen somebody like request like a premium title. And do they do it directly with the title company? I'm just saying on my end, I don't see that.
So it's in the contract. It's in and I can show you when we're done. Okay. So there's a place, it's very often paid for by the buyer because they're the ones requesting it. It's like an extra few $100s. It's a percentage of the cost of the title policy. Okay. So then they have that additional coverage in there.
Oh, I got it.
So, and anytime, like I said, if it's acreage or if there is something like some of these smaller lots, if you do have like a pool that's right up to the fence, I mean, can you imagine the expense and the loss of value tearing out a pool because you encroached on a neighbor's property? I mean, more likely it would be that you would just purchase the land from them if they allow that, but they could fight back and say no. They could take you to court and say, we want the pool removed. And so if you have any structures that are really close to that property line, definitely get that premium policy to have that coverage there.
I gotcha. I think I had a client recently that did get that because we were in the closing and they noticed, they were like, oh, look, like your neighbor's fence is really like 1 foot on your property. And they were just buying this. And they're like, well, we're going to have to fix that fence. And it's like, oh, this is not starting off with a good neighborly.
No.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's why you look at it because, I mean, the fence is not always on the property line. Very often it gets messed up. When you put up a new fence to get it right exactly on the line can be hard. So
absolutely.
We may all have a little bit of encroachment here or there, but a fence is more easily remedied, I guess. It's not going to be as catastrophic.
Absolutely. But to start off with a brand new neighbor, like, excuse me, I noticed your fence is 1 foot onto my property, so I would like you to move it.
Yeah, kind of like with my in-laws' interaction with their neighbors. Like,
well, at least that was pleasant.
It was. But yes, that's how they started off. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. Stop parking on my yard.
Oh, boy.
It's not how you want to start it off.
No, it's really not. You want to be friends with your neighbors, but you can't with all of them.
No. We've had some great neighbors. We've had some nasty ones. I know you've been in the same boat.
Oh, my goodness. I know. My hoochie mama one. That was a very...
Okay, are we going to share that story now? Now everybody's wondering about your hoochie mama.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, that was just unbelievable.
Okay, you're going to have to share. Yes, I do, but you're going to have to share now because you talked about it.
Yeah, I doubt
we can't end it now.
Well, I know. I mean, yeah, there was, she doesn't live there now, but an old neighbor of mine would get really upset when Caroline would park her car in front of her house and it's public street, right? So she would just, I don't know, she left a note on her car one time to ask her to not park in front of her house. And,
Yes.
she was teaching yoga at 5 a.m., so she wasn't going to be there for very long, right? She'd get home at night, she'd leave, super early in the morning. And one night, Caroline happened to park in front of her house again, and she came over, banging on my door, and it was late. Like I had already gone to bed.
Yeah.
I was like, "What's going on?" And she, I'm sorry, I called her Hoochie Mama, but she did. She looked like a prostitute showing up at my door. She did. I'm sorry, the stilettos and the low cut blouse. I'm like, where have you been? Like
Working.
it was a bit much, but. Yeah, there's more to that story with the people that go in and out of her house, but that's a whole other one. But
Yes.
yeah, she yelled and screamed at me and told me that I was a horrible mother because I didn't teach my daughter how to parallel park because she parked in front of the neighbor's house because she couldn't parallel park because a friend was actually staying with me who heard this entire interaction.
Yes.
And she told me like it started getting really escalated, and she literally asked me to step outside to fight.
I know.
her. And I was like, what?
We are not doing this, ma'am.
I'm like, what? Yeah, my friends in the back were going, slam the door and call the police. I ended up having to call the police.
I know.
And then the boyfriend shows up an hour later, banging on the door, saying to come out and speak with him because the police, had already been once. And he's like, let's handle this as adults without the police here. By this time, it's like, I don't know what time it was, 11 o'clock at night. I was like, dude, are you
Like 3 hours past your
You're
bedtime.
going to come banging on a single woman's door?
Yes.
Asking her to step outside and talk to you. So, yeah, had to call the police again.
Oh my
And
gosh.
there was something the police already kind of knew something about them. And so they said, listen, ma'am, if they ever come to the door again, do not answer and call the police. Like, I'm like, I was mortified. Like, I'm not this person that just calls the police all
But
the time.
then imagine on top of all this that you find out that your fence is encroaching on her property.
Exactly. That'd be
Can you imagine?
horrible. But yeah, she ended up moving not that long after.
Yeah.
That. I think she was running let's just say, a home-based business that was not appreciated in the neighborhood.
It doesn't sound like it. Oh my gosh, it makes me so grateful for my next door neighbors. The people behind us we've struggled with, like we had to eat the cost of the entire fence because they wouldn't help us, and their yard's always overgrown and some have issues there, but our next door neighbors are amazing. We're like shoveling each other's driveway and like, yeah, it's good to have nice neighbors.
I always wanted one of those, except when I got the one, I mean, and this lady too, like when I first moved in, CPS left a note on my door looking for it.
Yeah,
Like,
I forgot about that.
Yes. So when she, I hate to say this, like, yeah, I'm going to be putting it out there, but when she mentioned that I was a horrible mother for not teaching my daughter how to parallel park correctly, I got a little heated. And
Did you bring up the CPS?
I brought up, I said, no, a horrible mother is when CPS is looking for you and they leave a note on my door trying to find you. And I think that's when she wanted to fight me.
Yeah, probably.
I know that was not good.
I can't engage.
I could not. I was like, lady, this is insane. Like, come on.
Speaking of crazy neighbors, so I have one about that has had a drinking problem, who often leaves her house and forgets to put on anything below the waist. Yeah, sometimes underwear too. So I've had to guide her back to her house before and catch her dog for her before. But I have seen her out walking a couple times over the last few months with fully clothed and sober. So proud of her.
Oh, she's gotten some help.
She's gotten help. And it is funny when I turn down the street and I see her walking. I'm like, she's wearing pants. I'm so proud.
That's an accomplishment.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
awesome.
The fun things we get to deal with the neighbors.
I know. I'm sure everybody's got their funny stories. So yeah, please share with us so we don't feel like we're alone with some of the weird stuff that we've experienced. But anyway, yeah, surveys. That's exciting.
Yes. Well, hope this helps, and buyers pay attention to the surveys. They're important.
Yes.
They actually matter.
And get one, even if you're paying cash.
Yes. All right. Well, we got our lessons for the day.
Yes, we certainly did.
Well, be sure to check out our socials, and I can leave an example of a survey out there so you can see what they look like, what they're supposed to look. Oh, that is one thing I forgot. So there is another paper that looks very similar to a survey.
Okay.
A lot of builders do it, and it is their, oh my gosh, now I forget the word. It's for the drainage. It's about like the elevation. So it's going to show, grading. There you go. Grading the property. they have to make sure water's flowing out around the house. So there's one that has the outline of everything, but then a bunch of arrows to show where water's supposed to flow.
Oh.
So it's going to point all over the yard,
Okay.
down towards the street. That's not the survey. It looks very similar, but it's missing a few things. I have had people send that in thinking it was their survey, and it wasn't.
similar.
It looks similar. It has the same outlines of the structures, but it's not going to have like the legal description or the seal, and it'll say grading survey on there. And so that's how, you know, it is different. So
Good to know. Thank you for that.
all right. Well, like I said, check out our socials. We are on Facebook and Instagram, Nestology Podcast.
Well, thank you for joining us where we help you make the best of your nest.
Bye.
Bye.